Okay, it's live on YouTube. And
Okay,
then we
so we're
wanna
back in. We're back in from executive session at 10:03. And we're, what, Rose?
no action was taken during executive session.
Right, no, nothing, zero. We didn't do it, we just hung around for a while. Okay, that brings us to the financials. Financials.
Rick, did
Rose,
you want?
why don't you cover? I've got a couple of comments. Why don't you go through the nitty gritty?
Sure, sounds good. So there's not really a lot of activity for the month of May. Our administrative fees were down considerably, almost half of what it has been. Just because we've caught up on a few things, and annual reporting is just about wrapped up. And the only other expenses were live streams from multiple meetings and public hearings and special meetings. There was just the $14.99 for our Zoom fees and interest income. There's money in Bank of Greene County and M&T, and I know we discussed it last month, but Rick and I had gone over what to do with the money, and Bank of Greene County is not accepting municipalities doing CDs. So we're going to transfer some of the savings back to Bank of Greene County because their checking account rate there was higher than what we could get at M&T, and that was the best thing we could kind of do right now besides renewing our Rhinebeck Savings CD, which comes up in July. That's all I have, Rick.
Yeah, I
Any
just have a few.
questions for Rose? Go ahead, Rick.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just have a few comments, kind of by way of reminders. The budget you see on page 11 is for the end of May, and then you have May, and then you have year to date. So just a reminder, we should be at about 41% of our budgeted amount, our full year budgeted amount at the end of May. So where the revenues are under 41% of budget, that's not a good thing. So for example, operating revenues are at 18, but like 19%. We had anticipated having more money coming in by the way of revenues. Most of that was from the Kingstonian, and question mark rose also the nursing home. So I don't know whether their fee is in
The
there.
nursing home counted as revenue last year, and we're not under budget on money coming in. It's just if you annualize it, right? We
Right.
budget for the 215 is for the full year, and obviously that's going to come in large chunks when a project
We're
closes.
going to look good in the next 6 months. We're going to look like the
We
best,
will.
like the
Right.
Yankees or something.
And the same for the expenses. If you go down to the expense line, we're a tad over the 41% I mentioned. We're at 44.62, but that's just the timing of Rose's expenses. It was the continuing work we were doing on PPE, which is now over. Financially, we're very, very sound, and we'll be continuing to grow the cash on hand for whatever other community projects we decide, like PPE, we decide to get involved in, or that we're allowed to get involved in. So that's it.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Any questions on that? I get a motion to accept the financials.
I'll make that
I
motion.
have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second by Faye. Thank you, Faye. Anyone else on the question? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. That brings us to the chair's report. Wow, a lot of stuff going on. Continually, talking to potential applicants, I guess you could say. And there's always talk about another project coming in and somebody calls you. And what I'll do is I'll then refer them over to Rose. And, it's good. I mean, I think we're feeling the ripple effect of some of the COVID stuff out of the city. I think there's some movement, people coming up here and either expanding or creating. And we're going to continue to do that. We always take a good hard look at ourselves, our policies, and our performance, and we tweak when necessary. And you'll hear some stuff coming up today, and I'm not taking any thunder from anybody, but we got a board that's very, very proactive and did a wonderful job on some initiatives along with the CEO. So that's it for me for my report. So I'll turn it over to Rose for her report.
So again, the governor passed an executive order, which includes the extension for public meetings and hearings to be held remotely until July 5th. However, the county building is open again, and we can resume meeting in person if we choose to next month. Jimmy, I don't know if we want to discuss that or if we want
Well,
to.
didn't the governor wipe out everything yesterday?
Yes.
Yes, but we can still meet remotely through July 5th. Of course, our next
No.
meeting is July 21st, I think. So it's irrelevant. But I imagine our next meetings will be in person.
Dependent on the love back and forth with the 6th floor, let's make a point of trying to meet at the county office building, give
Yes.
people an opportunity to come in and sit down, and I kind of enjoy that.
Yes, and I did touch base with Jay Mahler last month after our meeting and made sure that this was where they were at with it. The only thing that would be different from that, and I know that Diane and Michael talk about it, is we're going to have an audit committee meeting and a governance committee meeting next Tuesday. Those will still be held remotely, but then going forward, I anticipate all the rest of our meetings will be held back in person. Again, as Jimmy was saying, a few more projects are in the beginning stages, and I look forward to their applications coming in over the next few months. I had one send in a very, very rough draft this past week, and they're going to work to revise it, and we'll get together on a pre-screen group shortly. Our insurance bill for the regular business and liability policy was significantly higher than last year, a 25% increase. We sent it back to the broker to find out what happened and to see if that broker needs to shop it around to maybe another company, because I know insurance for most people has gone up, but that just seemed like a ridiculous amount to me. We've been back in touch with Senator Hinchy's office about scheduling a meeting with the local school district to go over the issues with pilots and the tax cap. And I'll have more information on that next month. But I know the senator was potentially looking to have her or somebody from her office come and sit down and really understand the issues and what should happen so that they can fix the legislation. Spotted Dog Ventures, aka the Emerson, finally sent their paperwork to the county clerk. Joe Scott's office is reviewing it to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, but I believe this is the last expired project that needs to be finalized. And now it's time to find out whose projects are expiring this year and start the process over again. But I'm glad to see that all of these really old ones are finally off of our plate. We sent out the project post-closing affidavits to several of our projects again with a firm deadline of June 30th. These documents should have been sent back to our office when the projects were completed, but that did not happen. I will have an update next month for the board and potentially some issues to bring to governance if people aren't following what they're supposed to do based on the closing documents. Star Estate had not paid their tax payments for some of 2020 and 2021. Council had sent a couple of firm letters, and I've also been directly in touch with the project and made sure that they had reached out to the school district and the town. As of my last update from the project, they had paid the county, but not the town or the school. Going forward, this will not be an issue because I've confirmed with their bank that their payments will be in escrow. However, we are still very eager to get the old payments cleared up. I sent another follow-up email to the project because they were supposed to have information to me today for me to tell you they've finished paying their tax payments. We've finally gotten up to date on transcribing all of the meetings that we've had via Zoom, and all those transcriptions are now on our website. As you may recall, this is a requirement for all meetings that are not held in person, and it's been a large project to transcribe every meeting word for word. We are looking forward to having another board training day in August or September. Jimmy and I have been discussing several topics for this year, and we want to do something that's not redundant with what we had done last year. And I think that we're going to have a good variety of topics. I sent out an email this morning, and hopefully we can start just to nail down some dates that everybody's available, because obviously we want to make sure that everyone can attend. That's it for me, Chair.
Okay, just picking out of your issue with Star down there. You get a lot of people come back and want to do repeat business, and I want to take a chance to maybe you work with governance regarding someone who's got something outstanding just because they didn't pay it. I really don't think we should be entertaining anyone who hasn't satisfied the responsibilities. So, and I don't mean Star, it could be anybody. I'm just using that as an example. So I don't know
Yeah.
what we have to do, if we have to put that in our UTEP or what we have to do, but I just think it's something that should be addressed. It gives a
Yes.
level of protection. So
Yep.
we're not getting beat up by school districts and whatnot. Okay. All right, can I get a motion to accept Rose's report?
I'll make
I
the
have a
motion.
motion by Rick. Do I have a second? Danny? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Committee reports, Dr. D, audit.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So for audit, there's not much to report. If you go to page 13, you'll see the report, the labor report from Loki Brill. NS is now at 93% for monthly compliant for the past month. And then the other thing I wanted to share is Rose mentioned the audit committee will be meeting on June 22nd in the morning for a few hours prior to the governance committee meeting. We have a laundry list of items to get through, quite extensive. And one of those will be looking at our contract with Loki Brill to ensure that we have more accurate reporting. We've already had several conversations as a board, what we're going to be asking them to do so that we have better insight and actual numbers on the jobs that they're reporting to us. And that concludes my report, Chair.
Excellent job by audit. Any questions? No? Not going to ask for a motion because there's no questions. Finance, Faye?
No finance committee meeting this month.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much. Brings us to governance, the problem child.
Thank you, Chair. So governance has been very busy. We have a lot here in the queue. So I'm going to start it off with some old business. We got the FOIL policy, correct, Rose, that we have to go back? Did the FOIL policy, did we get
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
got
we're dealing with that in the governance committee meeting next week.
Push it on the 22nd. Okay,
Yep.
so we'll bring that over to the 22nd. We'll bring back our full review of that, and then we should have everything back together by then. Okay, let's go into the so underneath the chair's guidance, we initiated the community investment policy or program. I'm going to call it the program. With that, Rick, Orlando, and Danny and Rose, they work very, very closely together. And Rose, did everybody get a copy? Well, actually, it's on page 16 of your packet. So if everybody goes to 16 and they haven't seen it, just take a look at it. I think that committee did a tremendous job putting that together. I think it was really good. And Rick, I'm going to ask you to give a brief overview of it. Okay.
I'll make it very brief.
Yeah. That's why I
Mike
said brief.
Mike mentioned the folks that were involved, Orlando, Dan, and Rose, and they were just invaluable in coming up with ideas. I think, and you can see here, what we're looking to do is to give the applicant an opportunity to expand the UTEP chart and score some points, if you would, towards getting the inducement by agreeing to invest in the community by way of buying local, whether it's construction material, and you see a list of things on page 16, and these are meant to be not all inclusive, but a couple of examples. So buying their construction material, using their legal services, buying their engineering services, whatever it may be, they'd be asked in order to score to use at least 5 local vendors for the period of construction, and then at least 1 year. And remember, the board may want to change certain items that are in this proposal, but during the course of construction and 1 year into the operation of the entity, that they would use these particular local services. There was, going into the meeting, there was concern about tracking, and that was probably the biggest negative that we had to deal with. How do we do it? Didn't seem easy, but Rose believes she can do it. We've come up with a couple of ways of doing it, with a little bit of the honor system, but also the ability, and Joe, you'll come into this, the ability to include in the contract that they need to provide us some additional information or access to information to prove that they're using these particular 5 particular service providers within the county of Ulster, only Ulster. So we believe everybody on that little group agreed that, hey, this sounds like it could work. So what you have in front of you is a proposal that would become part of our policy, presumably. Again, need direction from our attorney. And we have to modify the UTEP as well, the grid. And again, we need some direction on the steps to do that. Some people may have some added comments. I did think of one more thing, and I was going to bring it up in new business, but just to mention it, I'm kind of getting the sense, given the way the economy is going, that we're going to have more and more companies coming to us, as they are already throughout the Northeast, saying, hey, we're going to provide new jobs, but they're going to be remote, and they live in, I don't know, Brooklyn, Manhattan, New Jersey. So they're not Ulster residents. So, we ask for the construction staff to be either Ulster residents or the contiguous 6 to 7 counties. One of the things we don't do is to take a look at, well, the people you're employing, remember, this is an Ulster County inducement. The people you're employing, do they come from Ulster? And it's not always possible to have all of them come from Ulster, but certainly some of them should be coming from Ulster, providing jobs to people from Ulster. So just a thought, I'll bring it up more in new business, if that's all right, Chair.
Can I just interject real quick? Your list of things, I think if you put the phrase "but not limited to" in there, you'll cover everything. It'll give you an opportunity if something comes in that's maybe not specific, and then it would be at the board's discretion. So if you would put the phrase "but not limited to" in the language there, when it comes to some of these things, providers or whatever else, I think at that point it's up to the board to have someone make an argument, and if there's credence to it, then you take an action. But
Yeah.
that you bring that back to your people. If they're comfortable with it, then so be it.
And Rick, I was going to say, I know we plan to discuss this more as part of the matrix changes, et cetera, in the governance committee meeting, so we can probably just handle it all there.
Okay, super.
Great,
That's
Rick.
it,
Yeah.
Chair. That's my summary.
Once again, I want to say that you, Dan, Orlando, and Rose, you guys did a great job. I looked through it, and I think it's fantastic. And we always gotta take into consideration, these are always works in progress. I mean, this is something that's going to be created over time. So I think this is real good stuff. At this time too, I'd like to introduce. I've been working together with Rose, and we've got a template out there, and I think it's a pretty good template on the mentoring program that the chair asked us to invest time in. It's more of a Q&A right now with some added things. I want to ask Rose to get a copy of that out to all the board members, and if anybody has any input on that, we'll be discussing that on the meeting on the 22nd, right after audit. And anybody has any other questions or input, once again, just get that to us so we can finalize this on June 22nd. Rose, you have any comment?
Nope,
Okay.
that's it.
Moving ahead, on 6/22, we will be reviewing and to create new policies. The policies in question are going to be a policy for return of all or part financial assistance, a policy for the suspension, discontinuance, or modification of financial assistance, and a public comment policy for meetings. I didn't actually review that one. Joe, you've got a handle on that too, right? The public comment policy. Are you Did you get a copy of anything Rose sent you over?
To be honest, I don't think so, but
No?
I can double check and obviously happy to participate.
All right, we'll be looking for your input too, Joe.
Sure.
And also a record retention and disposition policy we'll be looking to create on the 22nd. We do have some amendments to policies that we have to go over on the 22nd. Also, the procurement policy, we're talking about doing an amendment to that with some collusion language moving ahead at the time of bidding on all contracts that we do. A compensation policy amendment, that's going to include a time and attendance policy that affects the board members, okay? As, coming into meetings and making sure we're actually coming, attending meetings. And then as Rose touched base on, with this community benefits program, we will be taking a hard look at the UTEP and the matrix for any amendments that we need to do there to stay in compliance with anything else that we will be doing. Let's see here. What else do I have on my paper?
Mike, you have something there about the nursing home?
I do. That's what I'm going to next. So Golden Hill. We asked Saul to come in at our last meeting and he didn't attend. Be it he didn't get the email or he didn't know it was, we were asking him to come. I thought we asked him to come once again today. Rose?
We did, and he had said he would be here.
Okay. And is he in the waiting room? Anybody?
No.
Nobody?
No.
So, if you guys go to page 14 of your packet, you can see the current situation going on up at Golden Hill. Okay. And, Rose, I think I know we need to move to get something to Saul, ask Saul to come in on the 22nd also. I know we got a full plate. Do we have enough time? Yeah, we got to get him in here because there's questions have to be asked and we have to find out what's going on here.
Right. So on page 14, you see the information that I was able to get off of the internet, and then also I know we had discussed last time that FTEs was based on their annual reporting, which was sorely under what it was supposed to be. On page 15, we had asked Saul to send in information because maybe their patients, the number of patients were down. So you can see they have their 2020 numbers versus their 2019 numbers. Although they were down a couple hundred, it doesn't seem like it was proportionate.
Okay, well, this is all I can say. Silence speaks volumes. So we're going to, if Saul doesn't want to show up, we're going to proceed. And then, he can deal with the outcome, the fallout. I mean, he certainly showed up when they needed the incentive.
Money,
Right?
absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
I agree. And I think, Chair, I think as of the 22nd, if he doesn't appear and he doesn't, talk to the board about what's going on, I think we just move ahead as
We have provisions in place. We have instruments that we can use. So
correct.
we didn't put them there to scare anybody. Use them.
No.
Making an example.
Not an example, not trying to be punitive, but you have a responsibility to answer
Well,
back
that's
to
what-
this board.
If he fails in his responsibility,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mike, do you think it'd be useful that in addition to Rose's email and phone call, that we put
Certified.
something, and certified mail indicating that we
Yep.
need his attendance, and failure to do so will indicate that.
I have his responses. I know that he got the emails and stuff. We have responses in the email as well. So we have written response.
I guess,
Yeah.
I guess we just need to light a fire that this is not just, we're going through some pro forma type thing. This is critical to him maintaining his tax inducement.
I think, I agree, Rick. I think council even agree, as long as we take every step we need to take, if we got to throw it out there, there's no excuses at that point. I didn't get the email. I didn't get the mail. I didn't get this, Joe.
Well, if he responds to the email, he got the email.
You're right. But
But what I would recommend is that I send one of those firm letters.
There you go.
Certified mail saying, look, this is a default. We're considering our options, including, various remedies, including termination of the pilot. We need you to attend the next meeting. If not, then
You're gonna have to overnight it then, right? If you're gonna do it that way, because the meeting is next Tuesday.
sorry, I thought we were talking about the,
Next,
No.
you're
No.
talking about governance? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can send it via email and we can send an the attachment via email and via certified mail. And we can put a confirm, receipt on it, on email.
yeah. All right. So if you want them there for the 22nd, I can cast a letter appropriately. Sure.
Okay. Okay.
What else you got, Mike? Anything?
No, Chair, that's my report.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the report from governance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Fay. I have a second by Rick. Anyone else on the question? No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. All right, we're gonna move into old business, status of pending projects.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry, it's on page 17.
Yep. I'm sorry. I'm just getting to it. Yep.
It seems like Wildberry Lodge has been taking an awful long time to complete this seeker process.
Yeah. I think the town of New Paltz is, from what I understand, and I've never opened a business or built a building there, Fay. I think it's difficult at best.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Again, I'll open up for any comments or questions. We, aside from Wildberry, Kingstonian, we've talked about that. Aferia is on the agenda for today. Magruder, I know the CEO is working with them on pilot issues. RBW, the documents are out, and I think we're close to closing on that. And Romeo, we're working through some procedural issues. So that's really the status of project.
All right, we're good there. Okay, brings us to Aferia Realty Holdings. Rose?
Okay, so on page 18 is the transcript from the public hearing. There were no additional comments sent in after the public hearing, so there's nothing in here. Hold on, it's very long, trying to get through it here. On page 53 is the cost benefit analysis. The total cost benefit analysis ends up being 13 to 1. The regional benefits mostly consist of temporary construction payroll and permanent ongoing payroll. The regional costs mostly include the sales tax exemptions and then obviously the property tax exemptions. And on the following pages, you can see the more detailed information.
Rose, what's a good benefit ratio? Benefit to cost?
It all depends. They're all different. I know, for example, I can tell you Romeo Kia was, I believe, 25 to 1. The Kingstonian was much lower. I can't remember off the top of my head, but of course that had the different factors, right? Where it was building infrastructure for municipality as well. So it just depends on the project. I'm not really sure how else to answer that, unfortunately.
Rose, I do have a question about the cost benefit on page 58.
Yes.
And I might have missed this on the application.
Yeah.
It seems like the sales tax revenue to the county of Ulster, if I understand this correct, is only 10% of the total sales tax anticipated. Am I reading that right?
So part of the problem with this software, and I know I had discussed it, I think with Diane, I'm not sure. I think it was somebody else, but it must not have been you. Part of the problem with this software is that it's fairly limited, right? So I can't put in what sales tax Kathy had put on her application is what she believed was coming back to the county. It does it based on the type of project it is and based on the size of it.
So could you refresh my memory? What percentage of the total sales tax that Aferia was going to generate was coming back to Ulster County?
Yes, hold on one second, please. So she, in her application, she estimated that $200,000 would be subject to local sales tax. At 4%, that's $8,000.
And the
Annually.
total sales generated by this business? So what percent is that of the total sales generated by the business?
1/4. So, I mean, like I said, that is one of the issues with this software is I can't change those figures. So down here under ongoing sales tax revenue, the 29,000 may be actually more like 8,000.
And this is a 15-year or a 10-year? Again, I'm
This is 10 years.
10-year. Thank you.
This is a 10.
Yep. And then, if
So
you
Rose, that
if you took
8,000
out the
total quarterly
21,
sales tax?
yeah, if you took out $21,000, it's not going to change that much of the cost benefit analysis because, as I had said on the front, it's not really material based on the rest of the numbers. I would say 21,000 out of regional benefits of 44.9 million is not really material. I understand that it's important. I understand that we want the sales tax back to Ulster County, but the major contributions that the company would be making would be in the jobs that it's creating, and then obviously the local construction labor.
4,920,000, not 49 million.
Yeah.
Yes, 4.9 million.
Yeah.
And how many jobs are we looking?
I believe it was 5.
Is she projecting?
Yeah, I believe it was 5.
5?
Yep, I'm looking. Hold on. Yes, 5 new jobs. There's 1 current. So 5 new full-time equivalents
And for how long?
over a 2-year period. And then those are the permanent full-time jobs.
And how long on the benefits? How many years?
10 years on the pilot.
So
And
she would,
it's the
she would-
basic pilot.
so she would be saving how much over 10 years?
So that, hold on, that's on here on the cost benefit analysis. I could easily tell you. The property tax exemption is actually only $198,000 over the course of the 10 years.
Okay.
Rounding, obviously. The sales tax exemption is 200,000, and then the mortgage recording tax is 30,000.
Okay.
So that would mean the cost, right? The cost here are a total of $428,000 in incentives.
And this is basically for 5 new jobs.
Yes. As well as the construction labor.
The initial labor.
Yes.
Seems like a lot of, it seems like a lot to give out for that little coming back.
And Mike, this may be in your wheelhouse too, but I'm sorry, what kind of warehouse is a $5 million warehouse? It's not a standard, it's got to be a little bit more elaborate than a warehouse, correct?
It's because it's a passive building. Right? So it's a passive construction. It's a special kind of construction, and it's from spacing on the words, I don't know if Kathy wants to weigh in or her attorney, but it's like green technology, right?
So the building is actually going to be certified passive house in addition to net zero and carbon neutral. It's going to be the first multi-use passive warehouse in North America. And like I said, it's also going to be net zero and zero carbon. So the it's not a normal stick build construction. It's a prefabricated passive paneled building that is basically state of the art. I mean, it's cutting edge in what it's doing. It's not just a warehouse, it's actually an office component that's 3,000 square feet that's coupled with a 9,000 square foot warehouse that's essentially an open space. But that's basically, what it is. It's not a typical warehouse, nor is it a typical warehouse as to the end use of it. Beyond just being the headquarters for my company, which is a home staging company, we're going to, be able to service the film and television industry with our furniture and accessories, which is a big push in the Hudson Valley, being able to supply furniture for props, television productions, film productions. The office space will also be used as a gallery and event space. We'll also be able to have my background, for those of you who don't know, as a television newscaster for over 20 years, mostly in New York, also worked for NBC for a number of years, very well known in the television industry. And so also part of what we'll be doing is being able to provide a content space for those people who are looking to do micro shoots and have that studio component. So it's not just a warehouse in what is the traditional sense. It really is a multi-use, passive, one-of-a-kind, energy-efficient building that's going to be multi-use. The term warehouse is probably, not even the best term.
Well, listen, Kathy, just so you don't take this the wrong way, we judge a lot of things by jobs because they're tangible. We can reach out and say 5 jobs. I used to speak to developers and they wouldn't want to pay people prevailing wage or an area standard. And I said, well, you absolutely believe you know what you're saving, but you have no idea what it's costing you. So it's kind of hard for us. I mean, it all sounds good, and that's not to say it's not true, but it's hard for you to reach out and touch and show what the economic barometer is or the impact in that surrounding area over 5 years. I'm not looking to debate it. I'm just trying to put you at ease. No one looks at your project as just a warehouse.
Well,
But
Jen,
we get, I'm sorry, you go ahead, you talk.
Well, I just want to say real quick, I don't know how many jobs is going to end up. I know it's going to be at least 5.
Well, that's how we judge things, based on the jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so please don't feel offended because it is a warehouse. That's how it was presented to us. Okay, if you create another $1 million worth of flowing income or streaming income in a 20-mile radius in the Hudson Valley, then we can't track that. But we take an opportunity. I mean, the way I see it is it's $42,000, $43,000 a year that we're supplementing 5 jobs and whatever else comes that makes it a plus. So it's a good viable project. So I'm just telling you how we look at them based on the applications we get. Please continue. I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, so I mean, the good news is that, that's why one of the reasons why we're here is because of the growth of the business and the need. So, I know today what my needs are, and the need is 5 jobs. Hopefully it'll be more than that, but I know that is what it is today. I don't know if your benefit is only tied to jobs. I can say that when I moved to the Hudson Valley, for example, in 2009, that there was a plethora of places to shop in the Hudson Valley Mall. And Macy's, JCPenney, Sears, H&M, Best Buy, Barnes & Noble have all pulled out. And what I'm actually supplying will be a supplier of, somebody who is looking to Airbnb their home. They can have me as a resource to rent furniture. So, I mean, we're really supplying, to me, a need also for what a lot of people are looking for in the community based on the current climate.
Listen, again, I think we all understand it. I just wanted to be clear with you that when an applicant comes in, we're basing a lot of things on the jobs that you're promising. That's how we track you. That's how we say you're in compliance, whatever that number is. So, you know, we know you're not living in a hole in the ground, that your business is going to generate opportunities with a ripple effect. So,
Chair, I don't see the cost, what the jobs are being paid. Is that someplace in our paperwork?
No, it was on the original application. So the average, hold on one second, I can tell you. There's an $18 an hour. There are 2 at $26 an hour and 3 at $45,000 a year. 26 an hour, I believe, is 52,000 a year.
So there's 2 at 26, 2 at 45, and 1 at 18?
Yes, 45,000, 52, 3 at 45,000, 2 at 52,000, and then 1 at 37,440.
So that's 6 jobs then, not 5.
It's 6 because there's already 1 existing. So there are 5 new jobs.
5 new jobs, okay. Okay, I had another question. How is the, if it's a passive net zero carbon neutral building, how is it being heated?
It's so it's an all electric building in which we're going to be using Mitsubishi equipment that's going to be supplementing the solar panels that are going to be used from the roof.
So it's not going to be a heat pump or anything?
You know, the technical aspects I can certainly get to you through our mechanical engineers, but basically because it's a passive building, we're actually restricted to what we can use. The specific equipment is Zehender and Mitsubishi. Those are basically the constraints of what we have to use in order to meet passive standards, but it's going to be through traditional kind of equipment, but it has to have a certain amount of filtration associated with it, and also meet the standards as far as how much air can come in and out of the building in order to meet passive standards, so that very little air escapes and very little air comes in order to complete the circle and the requirements of the passive house restrictions.
So it is a certified green. It will be certified green.
It's not certified green. The technical term is we are our project we had to initially file paperwork with the Passive House Institute in Stuttgart, Germany, which is the certifying entity for Passive House. So green is a much more basic term than what this building is. So essentially from the inception of the project through the design, through the end construction, we have to meet certain requirements. So it technically is going to be certified green, but it's actually certified passive house, which is a certification given to very few buildings.
Yeah, because we have the first certified green, LEED certified green library in the country.
It's not going to be
in our little town. So I'm very familiar with that.
I'm actually a LEED AP myself, but it's not a LEED building. It's going to be a passive house building.
Okay.
all right, any other questions on the cost benefit analysis? There being none, can we move to the seeker resolution, council?
Absolutely, Chair. The seeker resolution is page 60 of your handout. And under New York state law, we are subject to seeker as a governmental body. And before we can take final action, which is on the agenda for today with respect to this project, we need to consider possible or potential environmental impacts. As has been our course in the past, we defer to the local planning entity with respect to seeker review. We're doing so in this resolution, where we are acknowledging that, and it's on page 61 of the materials, that 61 and 62, that it's the planning board in the town of Lloyd has adopted the requisite seeker materials and made the requisite seeker findings with respect to the project. And with that, our responsibilities are complete. And with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Anyone? Any questions? Rick, are you muted? I see your lips moving. I don't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me
Okay,
now?
all right.
Pink Floyd, that's some Pink Floyd right there.
So we have a negative declaration, correct?
Yes, from the planning board. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You find everything in order with the planning board's review, their seeker. So at this time, I guess we'll ask for a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, Chair. We need a motion and a second.
I need a motion to ask for a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion to ask for a roll call vote.
Thank you, Faye. Do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Rick. All those in favor?
Is this to accept the seeker?
Yes, it's for seeker.
Thank
Okay. Okay, James
All those
Malcolm.
opposed? Fine, it's carried.
No, we have to do roll call.
Yep, James Malcolm.
No, the motion was carried to ask for a roll call vote. That's why I said it was carried.
Thank you.
Please move to the roll call vote. Thank you.
James Malcolm,
Yes.
Diane Einen,
Yes.
Faye Storms,
Yes.
Michael Ham,
Yes.
Orlando Reese,
Yes.
Daniel Savona,
Yes.
Richard Jones.
yes.
Okay, that takes us to the approving resolution, council.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. That starts on page 64. There's several items that I'd like to highlight to the board. I mean, these materials were distributed to the board in advance of the meeting. But if you look at page 67 of the materials, there's several findings there under section 3. One is that there's no movement of this project from one part of the state to another. So there's no pirating issues here. This is also not a retail project. This is a project where materials are stored on site and then moved for in connection with the operation of the business. And then on page 68, the next page, there's a finding there that we've considered and reviewed the public hearing transcript, and that was outlined by Rose as part of her description of the project. The last item that I'd like to highlight is if you go to page 71 of the material package, there's a description of the criteria that we apply in connection with our consideration of project. I'll just highlight a couple of them. There is some retaining of existing jobs. There's some creation of new jobs. That issue has been discussed. There is a commitment to hire local labor. We outlined the amount of estimated tax exemptions. That's outlined in row 5. And I think that's really the balance of the items I'd like to highlight. Oh, I'm sorry, Chair. I would also point out item 12, where we will require our normal clawback agreement and other events of default provisions in connection with the project. And with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Any questions for council regarding the approving resolution? Rick, anything?
Rose, the applicant knows that Loki Brill is going to be involved in monitoring the number of jobs.
Yep, we've discussed it. Yep.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Would you be to the applicant? I mean, it's not really a part of this vote. You've heard a few things that we've talked about with community benefit and mentoring, and I don't think we'd be grandfathering anything, but it would be nice to get a commitment to be involved in the mentoring in your first couple of years that you're there. I mean, we're going to reach out and make sure when you have to hit certain numbers and when you have to hit certain reporting things, and and always try to ask people to utilize local suppliers, and that it it makes the money go in a circle, you know, so I can't hold you to anything. Would love it if you kind of commit in principle to, you know, we're going to do our best to satisfy all that. So.
Well, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that because for the last month, I've been in touch with Michael Cook, who heads job placement at BOCES for Dutchess County. And we actually have been in conversations with him relating to essentially a apprentice program, just as you discussed. I reached out to them about a month ago and we've been talking about that. And they're excited, and he's already put me in contact with BOCES in both Westchester, I'm sorry, not Westchester, in Ulster County as well. So that's already in motion.
Well, but you know, I'll only say, BOCES is a public entity. It's not a private provider. It's not insurance people. It's not material providers. That's kind of what I was getting at. If you can, you know, do your best to utilize people in the area, not just the agency. But I'm glad you went to BOCES. It's a valid, valuable program. So enough of that. I don't want to muddy the waters. So I guess I need a motion at this point to get a vote on to go and take a vote on the approving resolution. Brother Ham, is that you? Yep.
That's me.
Dan Savona seconded it. Anyone on the question? No. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Please, Rose?
James Malcolm,
Yes.
Diane Einen,
Yes.
Faye Storms,
Yes.
Michael Ham,
Yes.
Orlando Reese,
Yes.
Daniel Savona,
Yes. Yes.
Richard Jones.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations to Ophelia. You're now a part of the family.
Huh?
Good luck, Kat. Good luck, Kathy.
I was muted. Thank
Oh.
you. Thank you.
You
everyone.
know what? Leave them when you got them in the palm of your hand, Kathy. You're on TV. This is Kathy leaving Ulster County. I gotta go. Best of luck. Let us know if we can do anything to help you. If you please and utilize these programs. Comments, concerns. No dumb questions, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so
And
much.
I will be sure to reach out, or my attorney will, and I look forward to being an active part of the community.
Great. Your transparency in the process was refreshing. Thank you again. You can hang around if you want. If you don't want,
You're free.
You're free to
Thank you,
go.
everyone.
but you gotta go.
Wow.
Okay.
This is your get out of jail card, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay. See everyone
Okay.
soon.
I see Mike Moriello's name. I'm wondering what that's all about, but could be good, right? New business.
yeah.
Contract for administrative staff. Hello, Michael.
Doing,
Jim?
He's here
Okay.
for Innes.
Okay, great. All right, Rose, administrative staff.
So this was that our contract for administrative staff expires at the end of this month. So we need to know if the board would like to renew it, barring obviously some changes to the dates. And then we now have some procurement language that all of our contracts should have put in them.
Okay, who do we have work with you on that and talk to you?
Rick and Orlando.
Orlando, Rick, would either one of you like to give us a quick overview of the process?
Orlando, why don't you,
I think he just wants me to talk, so I like keeping silent.
I'm talked out.
We like when you're silent too.
We had a process. We went over our contract with our CEO and what they have and what they're implementing, doing. You know, the amount of work that they've put in over the last year has been exemplary. They go above and beyond with everything they've done. We looked at everything down from the cost of everything, things that they have to do above and beyond the things that are regularly required by people. And we found their contract to be perfect.
You're comfortable with all of that? And Rick, you would say the same?
Yeah, and Rose did mention to her, and the board is aware of what the hourly rate is, and very important for that hourly rate. Rose and her firm does not charge us rent, does not charge us for medical insurance, does not charge us for the use of paper, the internet, yada, yada, yada. So the rate that we're getting is half of Rose's normal rate, in addition to which all of the other administrative services that go along with having somebody working for you as the administrative assistant, CEO in this case, we're just not paying. It's all included in that hourly rate. So
you're comfortable making a recommendation? I know some of the board members have all taken, should say some, the board members have taken a look at the proposal, and I can get a recommendation from our two board members to concur.
I recommend.
Yes, I recommend highly.
Okay.
I recommend too.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Faye. Was this a voice vote, a roll call vote?
Joe, I just think it has to be a regular vote, right, Joe?
Yeah, regular vote is fine here.
Rose?
So you just need a motion and a regular vote, don't need the roll call.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract employing Rose as our CEO.
I'll second that.
Details provided.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. So there you go. Well,
Okay.
good, Rose. You
Great.
did it all with a
Thank you,
straight
guys.
face. All right, that takes us to Ennis.
Chair, I need to indicate that I'm recusing myself for the vote, because Innis is also in front of the planning board of the town of Rochester. The only piece of information I'll leave the board with is it's still before them. There's no issues but paperwork, and there's no approval yet, but it's just paperwork. So
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, where are we at? Michael, Rose, what do we got?
I'm actually going to share my screen for a letter that was sent to the board. Hopefully you all can see it. If you need me to make it a little bit bigger, I could do that here. So Tavo sent us a letter letting us know what they're doing over at Innis. And Mike, I can speak a little bit, or if you want, you can take the lead on this.
Go ahead, Mike. I like to hear you talk.
Thank you. The board knows the background here, and we thought it would be appropriate to write a letter to the board that let the board know why the applicant is amending their project, and give those reasons, which Tavo spelled out here. They are not, with this amendment, which would add the parcel, which my understanding is, which the new spa would be built on, would be added to their project, and they're not seeking any extra benefits at all from that. So the new part we deeded to Innis and NY LLC matches the old parcel when the lot line adjustment is made. My understanding from talking to Nadine Carney yesterday, I conversed with her by email, is that they are going through the secret process. I believe they have a public hearing scheduled for next month, and she anticipates probably getting through that process in the next several months, probably at the latest. Rick can probably speak to it better than I can, but that's where we are right now. I think Tavo may be on too on this Zoom.
I didn't see him, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know, he may not have been able to stay or anything. But, you know, my client is, obviously sorry about, you know, any inconvenience to the board, but and put it in the letter. So that's really we had to give kudos to Rose and Joe for staying on this too, because we had difficulty getting the survey documentation and information out of Bill Eggers. He's just so busy. He's just buried under work. But he did get it to us, and we were able to get it to the board. And I think we're in pretty good shape. We have to complete naturally the seeker review with the town and get through that approval process, and then we'll be in a position to amend things.
So thank you, Michael, and thank the applicant. Are there any questions for Mr. Moriello? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you to the board. We'll keep you informed. Thanks again.
Okay, you got it, pal.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, that brings us to public comment, agenda items only. I will entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. It's 11:05. How about we give ourselves 5 minutes before the CRC? Will that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you again.